Last time I went over the top 5 list of what Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl did right. Today, however, I'm going to be covering the 5 things they did wrong. These games were definitely very fun, but there were some things that did drive me up the walls. I'm honestly really annoyed with some of these things, so you guys might see me go in on a few of these, especially this first one. With that said though, I don't think I need a very long intro, so let's just start with number 5. Starting off this list is easily one of the most visible complaints, and that's the experience share. I honestly feel that the experience share, for what it's worth, deserves its own section, because at this point in time, after a few games in a row, Pokemon still hasn't listened to us. I understand that Cynthia is more difficult, and that the experience share for certain Pokemon like Magikarp can be good, especially in the beginning of the game. However, there are players out there that like a good challenge, and prefer to be able to use their Pokemon to actually train them up. Let me use this as an example. When I play Pokemon, I like to keep all of my Mons roughly around the same level. There were certain Pokemon in my party though that were too high level, and because of the experience share always being on, I felt I was never able to train them as much because they were always higher level because of the experience share. Despite Cynthia with the experience share on, your entire party is at least 5 to 10 levels higher than the gym leaders. And right around when I got to the Elite Four, they were around the same levels as them. Not giving the player the option to turn the experience share off is just bad design, and it's really annoying that it just stays on the entire time. I think a lot of people share my sentiment when it comes to the experience share. Up next is the aspect of keeping too many things post-game or very close to the endgame. Here are 2 examples of exactly what I mean for the post-game. The Pokéradar. It is such a fun little tool to have, but it would have been super handy and neat to have it during the main story rather than have to wait till the post-game. The Pokemon available from it would have been super fun to use. On top of that, while it's nice to have over 200 Pokemon to catch for post-game content in the Grand Underground, it would have been nice to have more options to choose from that weren't originally in any of the previous Sinnoh games. Speaking of Pokemon that I would have loved to use during my playthrough that I couldn't, was Gliscor. The Razorfang can only be obtained from the Battle Tower if I'm not mistaken. They locked that evolution until post-game, which is just plain stupid. Oh, and Weavile not being available until Victory Road also is really annoying. I'm sure there are other Pokemon you guys in the comments can bring up. At number 3, we have the really weird design choices. Like I mentioned earlier, but I will bring up briefly, Gliscor post-game is no. Weavile near post-game is no. There are also other native Sinnoh Pokemon that are still post-game. Why are Pokemon from their home region being restricted till then? It doesn't make sense to me. Another thing that kind of irked me were the battle sequences in regards to capturing Pokemon. Encountering a Pokemon, as well as failing to catch a Pokemon, results in the Pokemon popping out at an ungodly speed, and it kinda shocks me like a jump scare. I don't know if that's bad per se, but it's definitely weird when the past gens have been slower. The Shiny Charm is something that's really been useful for shiny hunting the past few gens or so. I love to do random encounter shiny hunting, and the Shiny Charm would usually help out with that. However, with BDSP, the Shiny Charm only affects breeding. I don't know about you, but I can't stand egg breeding. That is way too boring and requires too much concentration. It still baffles me though as to why the Shiny Charm only works with breeding. Lastly, is the Pokemon walking speed was kept pretty much the same as it was in Sword and Shield. This causes Pokemon to fall far behind you. The player hops on the bike with the max speed, and they literally struggle to keep up with you. How hard is it to lock onto the player's speed? I appreciate the attempt to give us back a beloved feature, but the poor implementation and no attempt to make it feel better just sours the experience, honestly. In the penultimate spot, we have the faithful remakes not adding in any of the platinum content that made Sinnoh better. Before you yell at me and call me a hypocrite due to me making a video on why the games will be good and people shouldn't be mad about what they got, that doesn't mean that it isn't a little disappointing that they didn't add more platinum and brand new content like ORAS and other remakes. For one, despite me liking BDSP a tad more than ORAS, had they would have added features like the Delta episode, new forms, etc., it would have made the games feel more refreshing. The main reason I like BDSP a tad more than Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire was the chibi style, and just the idea it looked really clean on Switch. I will say though, not having any Distortion World content was very disappointing. If they gave us, like, a $15 DLC for that would suffice in my eyes. Outside of that, I acknowledge Ramanas Park and the Grand Underground having tons of post-game content to keep interest up for a long time compared to even recent titles in the main series. However, it still feels like a little bit of a wasted opportunity. Some examples include potential in fixing Sinnoh's boring story, giving exciting new forms to the cover legendaries, for example, Primal Dialga, Mystery Dungeon, new megas for beloved Sinnoh Pokemon, etc. Legit, if we had new megas, forms, and a Distortion World, these games would be higher than a 7.5 for me. And finally, at the number 1 spot, what could possibly be worse than everything else I previously mentioned? Well, that's pretty simple, and I think everyone here can agree with me on this. The biggest problem these games have is by far the many glitches it had. Before the day 1 patch, the games were missing crucial things like finalized music and cutscenes. This patch was also 3 GB, which is annoying for any gaming fan to have to download at launch. There are still some glitches that happen from time to time, that, while not necessarily game-breaking, they can be distracting and are much more prominent compared to past games. Glitches I've experienced are my Pokemon following disappearing, lights in Pokemon gyms turning off when Pokemon attack, and sometimes not being able to fit through a narrow space because it thinks I'm hitting something. I acknowledge that they are committed to fixing these issues and continue adding content that isn't just yet available, which is noble for the company's first game. But it is still less than stellar for a long-awaited remake of a beloved set of games. I can tell fans are really annoyed by this, and trust me, I feel you. Well, that pretty much wraps up, in my opinion, the top 5 things Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl did wrong. I honestly think these top 5 things are really accurate as to what fans think are wrong with these games. I also think these are in the precise order. Some of these could be reordered maybe, but I believe the glitches is the number 1 thing people were disappointed in. Despite not being game-breaking, these are prominent things that should have been fixed, especially after a huge patch. Funny enough, the experience share upsets me the most, because at this point, I feel I'm just screaming at a wall and wanting to shut the damn thing off. But the other things mentioned here, I feel out-prioritize it. Just give us the option to shut the damn thing off. It's not hard. Anywho though, what things irked you guys the most? Let me know in the comments. Let's just try to have a decent discussion. Hey guys, thank you for enjoying another Mystic Umbreon video. It's exciting times for the Pokemon franchise, and I look forward to the coming months where it just keeps getting better. I want to give a huge thanks to my phenomenal team, and for the amazing art done each week by Danny the Demon. I couldn't do all of this without them. If you guys are wanting some more bite-sized Mystic Umbreon content, please check out my TikTok, where I upload daily, as well as the Mystic Umbreon Shorts channel. If y'all enjoyed the video and want to see more content like this, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Be sure to leave a comment too. It really helps us out. I think it's time to wrap this up though. I'm Mystic Umbreon, and I'll see you next time with some more amazing Pokemon content.